There is a secret most people never notice. It is not hidden in what someone says, but in how they say it. The tone of their voice can reveal more truth than the words themselves. Because before your mind even has time to analyze the meaning, your body has already reacted to the sound. That reaction is not random, it is survival. Long before humans had complex language, we knew whether we were safe or in danger from the rise or fall of a voice. And that ancient instinct is still alive today, shaping the way you respond in every conversation. This is why the tone of a narcissist is so powerful. It bypasses logic and goes straight to your emotions. You may feel comforted or intimidated, guilty or chosen, and you may not even know why. You only know that something in their voice convinces you to trust, to agree, to comply. That is not an accident. Narcissists understand that tone is not decoration, it is a weapon. A calm voice can disarm you. A sweet voice can hook you. A raging voice can silence you. And once they find the tone that works on you, they will use it again and again. What makes this so dangerous is that most of us never question it. We focus on the words, we argue with the logic, we try to explain ourselves. But by the time we respond, the battle has already been lost in the space between their voice and your instinct. This is how manipulation takes root. Not through brilliant arguments, but through tones that reach into the oldest parts of your brain. So, if you want to recognize a narcissist, do not just listen to their words. Pay attention to the way they say them. Because hidden in their tone is the truth of their intentions. And the sooner you learn to hear it, the sooner you can protect yourself from being pulled into a game you never agreed to play. Long before we had words, we had tone. A rise or fall in a voice told us whether we were safe or in danger, and that instinct still shapes us today. Your brain reacts to tone before it reacts to meaning, which is why you sometimes trust a calm voice even when the words make no sense. Tone is not just sound. It is a signal, a shortcut that your survival system has learned to obey without hesitation. Narcissists know this. They know they do not have to convince you with logic. They only have to sound convincing. They know that a steady voice makes you feel they are in control. They know that warmth in a tone makes you believe you are cared for. They know that speed changes perception. A moderate pace inspires confidence, while a rush of words or a drawn-out silence unsettles you and makes you easier to influence. Tone bypasses logic and lands directly in emotion. That is why you may agree to something that later feels wrong, or excuse behavior that you know you should not tolerate. Look at industries that thrive on persuasion. Sales and telemarketing do not spend months training people to memorize scripts. They train them to master tone. Because tone builds trust. Tone creates urgency. Tone convinces you to say yes before you even understand what you are agreeing to. A narcissist uses the same playbook, but not to sell a product, to sell themselves. They become the calm voice in chaos, the sweet voice in loneliness, the strong voice when you feel unsure. And in that moment you believe them, not because their words are true, but because your instincts tell you their tone feels safe. The danger is that tone can be deceptive. A charming voice can hide manipulation. A sorrowful voice can manufacture guilt. A raging voice can silence you into submission. You are not responding to who they really are. You are responding to the safety or threat your body thinks it hears. The lesson is not to stop trusting your instincts. It is to sharpen them. To learn that tone is not always truth. That the calmest voice can belong to the most dangerous person. That the sweetest words can carry the sharpest hooks. And when you understand this, you gain the power to pause, to question, to take back control before their tone decides for you. The first red flag in the voice of a narcissist is sweetness that feels too sweet. It is a syrupy tone filled with flattery and enthusiasm, almost as if they are trying to wrap you in warmth that feels perfect but somehow unnatural. At first it feels wonderful. You feel seen. You feel chosen. You feel like you have finally met someone who truly values you. This is what makes it so dangerous, because beneath the charm is calculation. This tone often appears during what psychologists call love bombing. It is the phase when a narcissist showers you with attention and affirmation not because they truly care, but because they want to create dependency. They want you to crave their approval the way a plant craves sunlight. Every compliment becomes a hook, every sweet word becomes a thread pulling you deeper into their orbit. The danger is not in the kindness itself, but in the way it conditions you to keep earning it. You begin to measure your worth, not by who you are, but by how often they shine that sweet voice on you. Think about Dolores Umbridge in Harry Potter. Her tone was endlessly cheerful and dripping with sugar, yet it masked something sinister. You could almost feel the control behind every sweet syllable. That is the trap of the overly sweet tone. It disarms you. It makes you lower your guard. It convinces you that you are safe, while quietly binding you to their approval. The way to break free is not to match their sweetness, but to pause. To ask yourself whether the tone matches the reality of their actions. To remind yourself that real care does not need to sound perfect. Real care is steady, consistent, and honest. And when you learn to recognize the sweetness that feels just a little too sweet, you protect yourself from being drawn into a performance that was never about love, but about control. The second red flag is the popular tone. It is casual and laid back, the kind of voice that makes you feel like you have been invited into an exclusive circle. It sounds effortless and friendly, almost like they are doing you a favor just by letting you in. At first it feels flattering. You believe you are special, chosen, part of something few people get to experience. And that is exactly the point. This tone works because humans are wired to notice status cues. From childhood we understand hierarchy. We know what it feels like to want to belong. The narcissist uses this instinct to their advantage. Their voice says we are close. We are on the same team, but hidden beneath is a reminder that you are still not quite on their level. You find yourself working harder to keep their approval, making sure you never slip and lose that sense of inclusion. Think about Regina George in Mean Girls. Her tone was light, charming, even complimentary, but there was always an edge of control in it. She could make you feel like the star of her attention one moment and crush you with a casual insult the next. That is how the popular tone works. It keeps you off balance, craving the warmth of belonging while fearing the chill of exclusion. The best response is not to play the game. Do not chase their approval. Do not confuse their charm with real connection. Stay grounded and ask yourself if their actions match their tone. Does their friendship make you stronger or smaller? Real connection never makes you feel like you are on probation. Real connection does not make you earn your place. And the sooner you see through the popular tone, the sooner you stop giving them the power to decide your worth. The third red flag is the martyr tone. It is heavy and sorrowful, dripping with self-pity. It is the kind of voice that makes you feel like you have let them down, even when you have done nothing wrong. The goal of this tone is not to share truth, but to transfer guilt, so you carry a burden that was never yours. This tone works because we are wired to respond to suffering. We want to comfort, we want to fix, we want to make things right. The narcissist knows this and uses it to keep you tied to them. Their sorrowful words create an invisible leash. Every sigh, every disappointed pause, makes you wonder if you should have done more, if you should give more, if somehow you are responsible for their unhappiness. And once you accept that responsibility, you are no longer free. Think about Annie Wilkes in Misery. Her voice carried indignation and hurt, making others feel like they were the cause of her misery. That is the trap of the martyr tone. It convinces you their pain is your fault, and if you truly cared, you would fix it. The way to respond is with clarity, not guilt. You can acknowledge their feelings without taking on their responsibility. Simple words like, "I am sorry you feel that way," affirm their emotion without surrendering your peace. Real compassion does not mean accepting false blame. Real care does not require you to sacrifice your well-being for someone else's manipulation. The fourth red flag is the raging tone. It is loud, aggressive, and meant to overwhelm, not to communicate. When a narcissist raises their voice, it is never about solving a problem. It is about seizing control. They know most people will do anything to avoid conflict, so they use rage as a weapon to silence you, to intimidate you, to bend you to their will. This tone hijacks your survival instincts. Your heart races, your breath shortens, and all you want is for the shouting to stop. The narcissist counts on that reaction. They do not need to be reasonable. They only need to be frightening enough that you stop resisting. Think about Logan Roy in Succession. His booming voice cut through every conversation, leaving no room for dialogue, only submission. That is the essence of the raging tone. It is not dialogue. It is dominance. The way to protect yourself is not by shouting back, but by staying calm. Set clear boundaries. Say calmly, I am not comfortable with this conversation right now, and if needed, walk away. Your peace is worth more than their performance. Rage may look like strength, but underneath it is fear. Fear of losing control. Fear of being exposed. Fear of not being enough. The fifth red flag is the monotone voice. At first it may seem harmless, flat, detached, as if they simply do not care. But beneath that quietness is a clear message. You do not matter. They will speak in clipped phrases, lacking emotion, their tone saying more than their words ever could. This tone often appears in the devaluation phase of a narcissistic relationship. It is their way of withdrawing emotional investment without cutting ties completely. They know silence can wound more deeply than anger. They know indifference can make you work harder to win back their attention. And that is the trap. You begin questioning what you did wrong. You give more, hoping to earn back the warmth that once felt so real. Think of Miranda Priestley in The Devil Wears Prada. Her calm, flat voice carried more weight than shouting ever could. That is the power of the monotone. It punishes you with absence, conditioning you to believe their approval is the prize. The way to respond is not to beg for warmth, but to stand firm. Continue speaking, continue your life, as if their monotone does not define you. Real connection is not measured by how hard you fight to be noticed. Real connection is steady and mutual. And when you stop letting their monotone dictate your worth, you take back the power they wanted to drain from you. The most powerful defense you have against the tones of a narcissist is surprisingly simple. It is called the 3-second rule. Those 3 seconds can be the difference between being controlled and staying in control. Because narcissists count on your automatic reaction. They depend on your instinct to respond quickly before your logic can catch up. And the 3-second rule breaks that chain. Here is how it works. The moment you notice a tone affecting you, pause. Take a slow breath and count to 3 in your head. That pause interrupts the emotional hijacking. Your brain moves from instinct to awareness, from reaction to reflection, and in that space you get to choose how to respond rather than letting their tone choose for you. During that pause, ask yourself 3 questions. Does their tone match their words and the situation? How do I feel right now? Pressured, guilty, intimidated. What is their possible intent? Are they trying to charm me into agreement? Are they trying to guilt me? Are they trying to silence me? Once you have paused and checked in, you can respond thoughtfully. To the overly sweet tone, you might say, I need time to think about that. To the popular tone, try, interesting. Why do you say that? To the martyr tone, calmly say, I am sorry you feel that way. To the raging tone, state, I am not comfortable with this conversation right now, and disengage if needed. And to the monotone voice, the best response is to continue speaking as if their indifference has no effect. The beauty of the 3-second rule is that it gives you back time. Time to see clearly. Time to resist the pull of their manipulation. Time to remind yourself that you are not a puppet. 3 seconds may seem small, but in those 3 seconds, you reclaim your power. The voice of a narcissist is never just sound. It is strategy. Sweetness that feels too sweet. Popularity that makes you chase approval. Sorrow that loads you with guilt. Rage that silences you, and monotone that punishes you with absence. Each tone is a tool designed to control you. The first step to freedom is awareness. When you begin to notice the shift in tone, you reclaim part of the control that was taken from you. The second step is boundaries. Boundaries remind you that your worth does not depend on their approval. The third step is belief. You must believe that you are enough, because their tones only work when you doubt it. Real connection does not manipulate. Real love does not demand you earn your worth. And the moment you choose to believe you are enough, their voice loses its power. Your peace becomes yours again. The tone of a narcissist is never accidental. Sweet, popular, sorrowful, raging, or monotone, each one is designed to control how you feel. The 3-second rule gives you the power to pause, to question, to respond with intention, because your worth is not defined by their voice. You are enough. And when you believe that, their tones no longer control you, and your peace is finally yours.